Hello to you all and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be a video all about nose contouring. So contouring in general has been around for ages, highlighting has been around as well, and the reason a lot of people use it, of course, is to give the illusion of a different bone structure. And nose contouring is pretty much the same thing. You're using contouring and highlighting to change the shape of your nose, and in this video I'll be showing you how I like to contour and highlight my own nose, and I'll also be giving you tips at the end on how to highlight and contour your own nose shape. So if you want to see how to contour your nose, if you want to see how to do plastic surgery without the knife, then keep watching and I'll show you how to do it. So I have foundation all over my entire face, but on my nose I just removed all the product that I had on my nose, so you can sort of see what my nose looks like before I contour it. So of course we're going to start off with putting foundation on my nose, since of course when I put foundation on my face in the morning I put it on all over my entire face including my nose. So I'm just using the foundation I was using earlier this morning. This is the L'Oreal True Match Lumi, and I'm just applying this to my nose. I like to apply my foundation first with my fingers and then just blend it out with a brush. So that's just what I'm doing right here. So whenever you're contouring your nose, you want to look at your nose and you want to think, okay, what do I want to change? Is it too long? Is it too short? Do I want to make it thinner? Do I want to make it wider? What do I want to do with it? When I look at my nose, I'm like, okay, my nose is a little bit more wider than I would like it to be, and it's not as straight as I would like it to be either. So what I'm doing to my own nose is I'm going to straighten it, and I'm also going to make it look a little bit less wide. I'm going to slim it down a little bit. So that's pretty much the objective that we're working with here today. So first I'm just going to show you how to make your nose look a little bit more slim. So for this, of course, you need highlighting and contouring. And by the way, whenever I contour my nose, I like to work with cream products. And the reason for that is I find that's a lot easier to use on my nose. It's a lot easier to blend and it looks a lot more natural, which is of course what I prefer. If you like using a powder, that is fine, but I would suggest setting your nose first with a regular pressed or loose powder before you go in with powder contouring, because otherwise it'll be very difficult to blend. Since we're using creams, I don't feel like I have to powder my nose, so I'm just going to leave it like this. So yes, so the two products I'm going to be using today are the Colourpop blush in the shade Aphrodisiac. This is my favorite contouring product when it comes to my nose. This is a really perfect shade for me because it's not too warm, it's not too cool, and since it's a cream, it's very easy for me to use. The second thing that I'm going to be using is this concealer from Maybelline. This is the Instant Age Rewind Concealer. This is a brightening concealer, which is really great because I want to highlight certain parts of my nose, which is why I'm using a brightening concealer. If you want to be more precise, you can use something like this. This is a NYX Stick Concealer. This is also really nice. This is not the creamiest concealer, so it's a little bit more difficult to blend, but it's still an okay one. Another one is a Rimmel Match Perfection Concealer. This is pretty much the same thing as the Maybelline, but it's a little bit more heavy and it has a different kind of applicator. So this is more of a brush tip. The Maybelline is a sponge, so if you want to be more precise, you can use this one. So I'm just going to be using the Maybelline Age Rewind since this is what I'm sort of accustomed to using. So like I said, we're going to make my nose look more narrow, and the way we're going to be doing this with the highlight is we're just going to be applying the highlight to the sides of my nose. And that sounds really weird because immediately when you think of highlighting and contouring the nose, you think, okay, contour on the sides of my nose and then highlight on the bridge or on the front of my nose. That is true in a sense. However, since my nose is a little bit more wide, I don't want to just contour my nose because that really won't do much. However, if I apply highlight to like this portion of my nose, like up to here, and I just apply highlight like right here, then this will really help bring that part of my nose forward, and it will make it look like I have a more chiseled, more narrow nose. If that makes any sense, I hope it does make sense, but I'm just going to do it on one side of my nose so you can see what I'm talking about. So I'm taking the concealer and I'm applying this to the sides of my nose, like right here, like in a straight line, so you can see that this really helps chisel out my nose and make it look a little bit more narrow. So this is pretty much what we're doing right here. So there is a difference, obviously. Concealer's on this side, there's nothing on this side, and now I'm just going to blend it out with a brush. I'm using just a regular blending buffing brush. This is from Real Techniques, and this is their buffing brush, and I'm just going to blend my concealer into my face. I want to be a little bit more careful with this. I don't want to be sloppy with this because I want it to be very precise. So just blend it in as best as you can. So now I'm looking in the mirror and I can see that there is a difference. This is the side of my nose that is highlighted, and this is the side of my nose that doesn't have anything on it. So you can see that this side looks already slimmer. So this side still a little bit wide, this side looks slimmer, so you can see that there is quite a difference. So this is what we have so far. If you already have a slim nose, you can do this to make it even more slim if that's what you prefer. However, this is what I would suggest if you have a very wide nose and you want to make it more narrow. Just by highlighting the sides of your nose, this can really help minimize the size of your nose and really just make it look a little bit more chiseled. So that's just what I want, so that's what I'm doing. Okay, so now it's time to use the contouring product. I'm using the Colourpop Aphrodisiac blush, and to apply the color, I'm using an e.l.f. smudge brush. This is a really dense, very flat looking brush, and this is really perfect for applying really precise lines when it comes to contouring. And the trick is with this, you don't want to apply a very thick line. You want to apply a thin line, because if you apply a thick line, it can look really muddy really quickly, and that's why I like to apply a thin line. That way my nose looks a lot more chiseled and a lot more delicate, and it doesn't look like a big muddy blob right here. So I'm lightly contouring my nose. I'm applying 2 thin lines down the sides of my nose, and once we blend this out, this will really help make my nose look a lot more slim. So I'm not going all the way up to the top of my nose. The reason for that is I find that my nose right here is already quite slim. It does not need to be narrowed down even further. And my nose, when it's not contoured, is kind of like a triangle, if that makes any sense. It's very narrow at the top, but not so much at the bottom. So I want to even that out. So that's why I'm not applying the contouring product up here. I'm not applying any contour up there. I want it to appear a little bit more evened out. So that's why I like to contour on the bottom and not on the top. If you have a more even wide nose, if that makes any sense, you can go all the way to the brow bone and you can really contour evenly like that. However, for me, my nose is a little bit more uneven, so I want to make it more even by contouring here and not contouring there. To blend this out, I'm using a dense domed brush. This is the Real Techniques Deluxe Crease Brush. This is a very dense dome-shaped brush. Very easy to use, very helpful when it comes to nose contour because it really helps blend out what you want really precisely. So I'm taking the brush and I'm just going to blend my nose contour into my nose. So this is pretty much what my nose looks like when it's been slimmed down using contouring and highlighting. It looks a lot sharper, in my opinion. It looks a lot more defined, and it looks a lot more slim, which is of course what I wanted. And now it's time to straighten my nose. So I have a little bit of a bump right here. My nose is not completely straight. So when you look at my nose, you can see that it has a little bit of a bump there. So I want to sort of get rid of that from the front. I want it to look a little bit more straight. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking a concealer. I might as well use another one. I'm just going to be using the NYX one. So I'm going to apply this to the bridge of my nose right here. And this is going to really help in bringing that part of my nose forward so my nose looks a lot more straight. So what we're going to do is we're just going to apply this to the bridge of my nose. Like the bridge is right there. And you can see that that's pretty much what I've done so far. I've applied this to the bridge of my nose, and what we're going to do now is we're going to take our fingers and just blend it in so it looks a lot more natural. What I like to do is I like to drag the color a little bit downwards so it looks a lot more blended out and a lot more even. So this is pretty much what I do for my nose contour. This is all I do. So what if you have a nose that is different from mine? What if you have a nose that is longer? What if you have a nose that's more crooked? I'm just going to be telling you how to fix all that. So my nose is obviously my nose, and this is what I do for my nose. But if you have a different nose than me, here's what we might be able to do. So if you have a really long nose, mine is quite short, so I don't have this problem. But if you have a very long nose and you want to make it look shorter, what you can do is you can take this brush and you can apply a little bit of the cream bronzer or the cream contour to the brush, and you can apply the color down this part of the nose, like right down there, and blend it out, and that will make the nose appear a lot more short. So what you do is you just take the brush and you just apply a line down like right on the bottom of the nose, and that will make it look a lot shorter once you blend it out. So my nose is a little bit crooked, so I don't really need to do a lot. Or if you have a nose that's a little bit more crooked than mine, but you might want to do this a little bit differently. So what I would suggest is taking the light concealer and applying this to the bottom part of the nose, like right around this point. And then what you can do is you can take the cream contour and apply this to this part of the nose. So you're pretty much going to have like a sandwich. You're going to have the highlight, you're going to have the contour, and you're going to have the highlight again. And this will bring back this part of the nose and bring forward these two parts of the nose. And that will make your nose look a lot straighter. Obviously, my nose is my nose, so I can't really demonstrate on other people since my nose is my own nose, but hopefully that gave you a little bit more context and it really helped you sort of figure out what you can do for your own nose. The beauty of the human body is that we're all different and we all have like different features, and with this video I kind of wanted to show how you can pretty much take your natural features and you can sort of play around with it. You can sort of change your features and sort of make it look a little bit more different. And that kind of goes into why I wear makeup. I like to wear makeup not to change the way I look because I feel insecure or because I feel that my face is not something I want to show the rest of the world. Obviously, I do YouTube videos and I show my naked ass face to everyone that's watching. And I look at makeup as something that you can use to sort of like really change the features of your face. Not because I think that I should really change the features of my face, but just because I think that it's more fun and it's very interesting just to see your face change with using contouring and highlighting and colors and strobing and highlighting, all these different techniques. I see my face in the mirror and I see an empty blank canvas that I can do whatever I want with, and that for me is the beauty of makeup. You can pretty much put makeup on and it washes off at the end of the day. You can do whatever you want to your face. It's your face and it's your body, and I love that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this was helpful to you and that you learned something from this video. I know it might have been a little bit confusing, but hopefully it was clear. So until the next video, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you again next time. Bye guys.